Chapter 4, Personality and Background, Entertainer, page 130. Dice Tower time. 2. I'm a sucker for a pretty face. Thanks again for helping me with character creation. I usually play Pathfinder or Powered by the Apocalypse tabletop role-playing games, so I'm still learning D&D 5e. I know the basics of what I want my character to be, I just need a little help with the mechanics. Yeah, so I'm thinking a tiefling bard. Why are you laughing? How is that predictable? You didn't even let me finish. Thank you. As I was saying, a tiefling bard fighter multiclass. We're starting at level 4, right? Okay, so I should be able to multiclass then. Cool. That's the only class combo I could think of that really works for my character. I want to use the entertainer backgrounds, but with the gladiator variant. Yeah, like some kind of fantasy WWE that tours around the continent. I'm thinking they're a chaotic good character, but their persona is a devil-themed heel. And they can't break kayfabe in case there's a fan around. Like, they could never let them down like that. Their fans mean everything to them. So how do you want to do the character sheet? Top to bottom, or skipping around a bit, or what? Okay, tieflings are on page 42. Nice. Ooh, that's a pretty illustration. Smash. Let's get started. Okay, so I want them to have horns like a goat, curved but not super curly. And for the tail, the player's handbook says it's thick, but can I have a more classic thin one with like a spade-shaped tip? Okay, cool. And since little cosmetic things like that are okay, I want to make it so that all of their teeth are pointed, not just the canines. Yeah, maybe it was a cosmetic choice later to fit their gladiator persona. For the eyes, I'm thinking solid gold sclera with no iris or pupil, and then red skin like brick red. Red hair too, but darker. Burgundy, like a red wine. No, I haven't picked a name yet. It'll probably be a virtue name, but I want to come back to that last once they're more fleshed out. Yeah, maybe I'll come up with their gladiator persona's stage name and then their true name. Okay, traits next. Oh, I think I heard about that change to racial ability score increases. Yeah, fantasy as a genre has a scientific racism problem. You could argue that it goes back to Tolkien, who, definitely influenced modern fantasy conventions of, moral alignments inherent to certain fantasy races, but he certainly didn't originate those ideas. And to be clear, I have nothing against including in-universe racism in fantasy world-building. Some people prefer pure escapism from their real-world problems, which is understandable, but not a personal preference of mine. I think that when you do include fantasy racism, maintaining that fantasy races have inherent biological differences in things like intelligence scores or alignments only validates the fantasy racist beliefs and undermines nuanced storytelling. It's like how X-Men mutants get used as an allegory for race and queerness and stuff, but also they are inherently biologically more powerful and dangerous. It's not unreasonable to fear your mutant neighbor who can explode you with their mind or whatever, which kind of undercuts the whole message of we should all coexist and respect each other as equals, but I digress. I think I'll keep the +2 on charisma, and then put the +1 ability score increase on strength instead. For the age, late 20s to early 30s, they age at the same rate as humans, right? Okay. And for the alignment, chaotic good. Medium size, I'm thinking somewhere between 6 feet and 2 meters tall, and 300 pounds to 140 kilograms-ish, because they are built. Highland Games, yeeting cavers and boulders around strong, not bodybuilder muscles just for show ripped. They have to be able to suplex the other gladiators. For speed. Is 30 feet pretty average? Okay, I figured. In dark vision, that'll come in handy if we're, in dungeons and stuff. Ooh, hellish resistance to fire damage. Nice. Maybe I'll come up with some way they can incorporate that into their performances. And their Infernal Legacy gives them the Thaumaturgy cantrip. Thaumaturgy, basically a fancy word for magic tricks. Let me just look that up in the spell list. Okay, so it's a transmutation spell that you cast as an action, and it lasts for a minute. You manifest a minor wonder, assigned a supernatural power within range, and the range is 30 feet. Not bad. You create one of the following magical effects within range. Your voice booms up to 3 times as loud as normal for 1 minute. I could use that like a microphone during performances. You cause flames to flicker, brighten, dim, or change color for a minute. More fire stuff. Definitely want to work in some fire to the performances now. You cause harmless tremors in the ground for 1 minute. Ooh, I could make the ground shake as I come in for a dramatic entrance. And you create an instantaneous sound that originates from a point of your choice within range, such as a rumble of thunder, the cry of a raven, or ominous whispers. Could I make it sound like the crowd is cheering to hype me up? Awesome. What else? You instantaneously cause an unlocked door or window to fly open or slam shut. Could come in handy. And the last one is you alter the appearance of your eyes for 1 minute. And if you cast this spell multiple times, you can have up to 3 of its 1 minute effects active at a time, and you can dismiss such an effect as an action. Great. I will definitely be using all that. And the Infernal Legacy feature also gives my character Hellish Rebuke as a 2nd level spell once per long rest. Let's see what that does. Oh, it's a reaction to being damaged by any creature I can see within 60 feet. And that creature has to make a dexterity saving throw. Since this is a racial feature, is that my normal spell save DC, or is it a different one? Okay, so Charisma is my spellcasting ability for these spells. Got it. Well, that's the same as the Bard spells, because Bards are Charisma casters, right? Okay, I thought so. So, Hellish Rebuke surrounds the creature that damaged me in Hellish Flames, and they take 2d10 fire damage on a failed save, or half damage on a successful one. And when I cast it as a 2nd level spell slot, the damage increases 1d10 for each slot level above first. So then, for this Infernal Legacy feature, the damage would be 3d10, right? Cool. Or hot, I guess. And there's another thing I get from Infernal Legacy. When I reach 5th level, I can cast the Darkness spell once per long rest. I'll look that up once we level up. Are we counting experience points, or just leveling up when you think it's reasonable to? Yeah, that's how I'm used to playing. I think doing by-the-book experience points just encourages murder hoboing instead of more creative ways to problem solve. Next up is languages. I can speak and write Common and Infernal. Classes are next. Since my character is level 4 and multi-classed, what's the best way to go about this? Yeah, it makes sense to make them as a level 1 character and then level them up. Does it matter which class I start with, then, for like hit die and stuff? Yeah, let's check the page on multi-classing. Page 163, Chapter 6, Customization Options. Okay, so my Bard levels and Fighter levels will add up to my character level of 4. And my Charisma needs to be at least 13, and my Strength or Dexterity also needs to be at least 13. When should I figure out my ability scores? Are we doing point buy, standard array, or just rolling for them? Alright, I'll focus on figuring this out first. So, this says that I only get the first level hit points when I'm a first level character, and every subsequent level is just the normal hit die for that class. So my pool of hit die will include the bard hit die and the fighter hit die, which are probably different die. More math, yay! And my proficiency bonus is based on character level, not class level. Okay. Now for proficiencies. This says when you gain your first level in a class other than your initial class, you gain only some of the new class's starting proficiencies, as shown in the multi-classing proficiencies table. So for bards, that's light armor, one skill of my choice, and one musical instrument of my choice. For fighters, that's light armor, medium armor, shields, simple weapons, and martial weapons. I'll have to consider that when picking which one to start with. And for class features, this says I don't get both classes' starting equipment, just the one I actually start with. And then, do I need to get into feats, or should we save that for later? Okay, let's find the pages on bards. Page 51. I feel like you shouldn't carry loot like that. They look like they're about to, well, smash it into someone. I would. Not a loot, but definitely that elf. Okay, so the hit die for bards is a d8. And for first level, it's 8 plus my constitution modifier, hit points. And the starting proficiencies are light armor, simple weapons, hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. And the tool proficiencies are 3 musical instruments of my choice. Do I start with 3 musical instruments too, or am I just proficient in them? Dang, I guess I am prevented from having more cowbell. And I'm also proficient in the dexterity and charisma saving throws if I start with bard. And for skills, it says choose any 3. And if I add levels in bard second, I just get light armor, 1 skill of my choice, and 1 musical instrument of my choice. I'll compare that to fighter when we get there. And Bardic Inspiration comes with 1 level in Bard, 2 levels in Bard gives me Jack of all Trades and Song of Rest, and 3rd level gives me a Bard College and Expertise. So, Jack of all Trades means that I can add half of my proficiency bonus, rounded down, to any ability check I make that doesn't already include my proficiency bonus. That seems very helpful. And Song of Rest lets me and friendly creatures who can hear my song regain more hit points during a short rest. And Expertise lets me double the proficiency bonus for 2 skill proficiencies. Let's see, Bard Colleges. Oh, cool. And the College of Swords isn't in the player's handbook, but it's in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Can you read out the details for me? Thanks. Alright, entertaining through daring feats of weapon prowess with stunts like sword swallowing, knife throwing, juggling, and mock combats. That's definitely perfect for my character. So if I get 3 levels in Bard and then take this, I gain proficiency with medium armor and the scimitar. Scimitars are cool. And I can add a fighting style, dueling or 2-weapon fighting. What are the mechanics for those? So with dueling, if I wield a melee weapon one-handed and nothing else, I get +2 to damage rolls with that weapon. And with 2-weapon fighting, I could add my ability modifier to the damage of my second attack. Interesting. And they both get the Blade Flourish feature? Okay, so that's an extra 10 feet of walking speed, bringing me to 40 feet of walking speed during any turn if I take an attack action, specifically a weapon attack, and it successfully hits the creature. And then I can add 1 Blade Flourish option, and that's all part of my turn? Okay, and those blade flourishes all cost 1 bardic inspiration usage, and then they deal extra damage on the attack, but the difference is that defensive puts extra points in my armor class. Slashing deals more damage to another creature within 5 feet, and mobile pushes the target away from me and then lets me use my reaction to move. Cool. It's a little complicated, but not too hard to keep up with. I do want to look at the fighter stuff though before I decide. Okay, here's the fighter page. Ooh, I like that guy's hair. Very cool gold decorations. Smash. Anyway, fighters get a d10 as their hit die, and the starting proficiencies are all armor, shields, simple weapons, martial weapons, strength and constitution saving throws, and 2 skills from acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival. And a first level fighter gets a fighting style and second wind. At second level, 1 use of action surge, and at third level, a martial archetype. So the fighting styles are archery, defense, dueling, great weapon fighting, protection, and 2-weapon fighting. And dueling and 2-weapon fighting are the same as the fighting styles from the Bard College of Swords. Do they stack, or should I pick different ones from the Bard stuff? Okay, I see that now. You can't take a fighting style option more than once, even if you later get to choose again. So I should choose one of the other options. Archery doesn't really make sense for a gladiator, I think. Oh, any ranged weapon, not just bows and arrows? Maybe then. +2 to ranged weapon attack rolls. Is that rolling to hit, or is that the damage from the attack? Okay, so basically my aim would be better if I took the archery fighting style. Gotcha. Defense just adds +1 to my armor class when I'm wearing armor. Great weapon fighting is for 2-handed weapons, which doesn't work well with dueling or 2-weapon fighting. Protection lets me use my reaction to impose disadvantage on a creature I can see targeting another creature within 5 feet of me, but I must be wielding a shield, which also doesn't work well simultaneously with dueling or 2-weapon fighting. So I guess I should go with archery or defense. I'll come back to it. Second Wind lets me use a bonus action to regain 1d10 plus my fighter level of hit points once per short rest, and for second level fighter stuff, Action Surge lets me take an additional action once per short rest, and third level fighters pick a martial archetype, which I guess is like the fighter equivalent of a Bard College. Which would you recommend for my character? Champion, and that's from the Vanilla Player's Handbook? Ah, yes, I see it. The archetypal champion focuses on the development of raw physical power honed to deadly perfection. Those who model themselves on this archetype combine rigorous training with physical excellence to deal devastating blows. That matches well. So that includes improved critical, making a 19 or 20 a critical hit, and that's it until 7th fighter level. Still not bad. I want to go back and look at starting equipment before I decide which class to start with. Oh, my background also has starting equipment. I should look at that too then. Chapter 4, Personality and Background, Entertainer, page 130. Skill proficiencies are Acrobatics and Performance. Tool proficiencies are a Disguise kit and 1 type of musical instrument. And the equipment is a musical instrument of my choice, a favor from an admirer, a costume, and a pouch with 15 gold pieces. And the Gladiator variant swaps the musical instrument with an inexpensive but unusual weapon, such as a trident or net. Well, trident definitely works well with the classic devil theme. And there's entertainer routines. Choose 1 to 3 routines or roll on the table below. Ooh, Fire Eater. I want that one for sure. It just goes so well with their racial fire abilities and the theme of their gladiator persona. I want more entertainer routines, but I can't decide which ones. For rolling them, it'd be a D10. Dice Tower time. 10. That is a great first roll for the character. And it's Tumbler. I see how that could work in gladiator combat, dodging out of the way and stuff. And let's add one more. 5. Juggler. Maybe they juggle smaller weapons, or even stuff that's on fire. Like Molotov cocktails. Can they please have Molotov cocktails? I could combine that with the archery fighting style to throw them. It would be so cool. Yay, you're such a good dungeon master. I'm having fun already. And the entertainer background also has by popular demand, which lets me perform and receive lodging and food. And it makes strangers who recognize me from my performances like me. And with the gladiator variant, I would be performing in places like a gladiatorial arena or a secret pit fighting club. Cool. There's also tables for personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. I think I'll roll for these. For the personality trait table, that is a D8. 5. I love a good insult, even one directed at me. Trash talking is an important part of gladiatorial combat. Vicious mockery and all that. I think I'll add another one. 3. I am a hopeless romantic, always searching for that special someone. That's a fun addition to their character. I wonder how that'll work with their never-breaking kayfabe for their evil persona. Yeah, maybe they're just a big softie at heart and they're not attracting the people that are actually their type. Well, I think that's good for personality traits. The ideals table uses a D6. 4. Greed. I'm only in it for the money and fame. Evil. That's the only one on the table that doesn't really fit. I'll roll again. 5. People. I like seeing the smiles on people's faces when I perform. That's all that matters. Neutral. That's better. I know I could just pick these from the tables, but I just love using clicky-clacky math rocks to make my decisions for me. Speaking of which, the next table uses a D6. 5. I will do anything to prove myself superior to my hated rival. Ooh, that's a fun bond. Maybe their gladiatorial rival plays the good hero, but in reality they're evil. Like my character's foil. That would be super fun to play out. Alright, time for some flaws. Another D6. 2. I'm a sucker for a pretty face. Classic bard flaw. Interesting characters need plenty of flaws, so I'll add another one. 4. I once satirized a noble who still wants my head. It was a mistake that I will likely repeat. Oh yeah, using their bad guy persona to say things about the rich and powerful that a good guy performer couldn't get away with is definitely a big part of why they love what they do. And now you've got some nemesis to play around with. As long as I can also pull the I know a guy shtick to help out the party, that's only fair. Friends and foes galore from this backstory. I think I'll do the first level in Fighter, and then 3 levels in Bard. The Entertainer background makes up for the proficiencies and equipment I lack from not starting with Bard, and this way I have more guaranteed hit points. The College of Swords stuff I get at Bard level 3 compensates for only having 1 level in Fighter. Does that sound reasonable to you? Alright, back to the Fighter page. I guess now would make sense to figure out my stats. Are we doing point buy, standard array, or rolling for them? Yay, more clicky-clacky math rocks. So how exactly do I roll for these? I assume it's not just a straight d20. Okay, so for each of the 6 stats, I roll 4d6 and drop the lowest roll. Well, I do have at least 24d6 from Powered by the Apocalypse stuff. Can I just do it all at once? Fine, I'll do them 4 at a time. 6, 6, 1, 1. Fun distribution there. So the stat would be 13. Okay, and for the next one, 4, 3, 3, 2, so 10. Next up, 6, 5, 4, 1, 15. Nice. 3 down, 3 to go. 6, 2, 2, 1. Another 10. Hopefully the next one's a little better. 4, 3, 1, 1, 8. Hopefully the next one's a lot better. 6, 6, 4, 3. That's more like it, 16. So now I assign them, and then we calculate the modifiers. Alright, the racial ability score bonuses. So I was going to put that +2 to charisma and +1 to strength. So I'll put the 16 on charisma for a total ability score of 18. And the next highest number on strength, so that's 15 plus 1 is 16 strength. My dex should be good for the tumbling and stuff, so I'll put the 13 there. I guess I'll put the 10s on constitution and wisdom, and put the 8 on intelligence. That basically means my character is like average street smarts, below average book smarts, right? Okay, that fits them well. So now we calculate the modifiers. I assume there's a table for that. Yeah, you can just tell me. That'll be faster than me hunting down the table. +3 strength, +1 dex, 0 constitution modifier, -1 intelligence, 0 wisdom modifier, and +4 charisma. Cool, thanks. Okay, so now we can calculate hit points. Fighter hit points at first level are 10 plus my constitution modifier of 0, so 10. And proficiencies are... And the proficient saving throws are strength and constitution, and I get to pick 2 skills from this list. I already have acrobatics, so I'm going to add athletics and intimidation. And for equipment, I'll go with the leather armor. I get a longbow and 20 arrows. Are we counting arrows? Okay, I won't go too crazy with it. A martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. I've already got a trident, so I think I'll add a whip. That is considered a martial weapon, right? Okay, good. Nice and flashy, good for performing. And maybe a bludgeoning weapon. Can I have a morning star? Cool. Goes all with the devil theme. And a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or 2 hand axes. I think 2 hand axes. And a dungeoneer's pack or an explorer's pack. What's the difference? So they both have a backpack, 10 torches, a tinderbox, 10 days of rations, a water skin, and 50 feet of hempen rope. That's enough to have some fun. I'm definitely more of a jute rope person than a hemp rope person, though. I mean, it's more traditional, has lower elasticity, great tooth for holding knots, it's lighter. I prefer the smell of jute over hemp, too. Don't even get me started on synthetics like nylon. Sure, it's pretty and more washable, but I just don't trust it for suspensions. I mean, the elasticity alone. Thanks for getting me back on track. That tangent could have gone on all night. So, the differences in the Dungeoneers and Explorers packs were that the Dungeoneers pack has a crowbar, hammer, and 10 pitons? What's a piton? Oh, the metal spikes for mountain climbing. Yeah, I don't really know anything about climbing. As if you are one to judge the source of my rope knowledge, Dungeon Master. That's what I thought. Anyway, the Explorer's pack has a bedroll and a mess kit instead of that climbing stuff, and that's the difference, right? Okay, I think I'll go with the Explorer's pack, and for fighting style I'm going with archery, and then I also get second wind, and I think that's it for fighter stuff. Right, I guess I do need to know the damage and stuff for my weapons. Oh, I didn't think about throwing the trident. That's cool. And how's it versatile? I mean, I'm verse, but I don't think it's the same kind of verse. Oh, okay. I'll just use it one-handed to get the +2 bonus for my dueling fighting style. That seems like a better deal than doing two-handed piercing damage. 1d6 plus 2 should statistically be better than 1d8. And if I'm using the trident as a melee weapon, the attack roll is 1d20 plus my strength modifier against the target's armor class, right? Okay, and if I'm throwing it, it's 1d20 plus my dexterity modifier plus 2 for my archery fighting style. Why is the range 20 feet and 60 feet? So from 5 to 20 feet is the normal range, and anywhere further than that, up to 60 feet, is the long range where I have disadvantage on the attack. And 1d8 piercing damage, 150 foot normal range, 600 foot long range with a longbow. Makes sense, it is the longbow, which is two-handed. But what does heavy mean? My character is medium, so that won't matter for them. I mean, I guess if they magically get shrunk down to small or tiny size, they'd have disadvantage on longbow attacks, but I feel like they wouldn't go for their longbow anyway if they got shrunk. A hand axe or something makes more sense for that situation. The whip does 1d4 slashing damage and has finesse, meaning I have the option of using my dexterity modifier instead of strength modifier for attack and damage rolls. Okay, and reach. So on the map grid, if a square is 5 feet by 5 feet, I can hit not just the 8 squares surrounding the one I'm occupying, but also the ring of 16 squares surrounding the normal 15 by 15 melee range square centered on my character. But if the range is 10 feet for reach weapons, how am I reaching the square diagonal from me? It's further away than the square directly to, say, my left by a few feet. Non-Euclidean? The D&D multiverse has non-Euclidean geometry? Okay. I don't like that, but okay. And what are the stats for the Morning Star? 1d8 piercing damage, and it's just a normal melee weapon, no additional properties. Cool. And the hand axes, 1d6 slashing damage, and they're for throwing, so I can add my archery fighting style bonus, and the range is the same as when I throw the trident. Got it. That's all the weapons. Oh, I add the same modifier I used for the attack roll to the damage? Okay, so I'll definitely be using my strength instead of dex for that whip then. Now for the bard stuff. The proficiencies I gain, according to the multiclassing proficiencies table, are light armor, which I already have from fighter, one skill of my choice, I'll take persuasion, and one musical instrument of my choice. I don't actually get a musical instrument to start, so I'll just go with the hurdy-gurdy. Classic. Wait, no, fiddle. The answer is obviously fiddle. Okay, and for 3 levels in Bard, that's 3d8 hit points. 7, 6, 2. So 15 more hit points for a grand total of 25 HP. Next up, spellcasting. With 3 Bard levels, I have 2 cantrips, 6 known spells, 4 first level spell slots and 2 second level spell slots. And cantrips don't count towards my 6 known spells, right? Okay, well, I definitely want Vicious Mockery. That is an action to cast with a 60-foot range. Any target that hears me insulted, even if it doesn't understand me, takes 1d4 psychic damage and has disadvantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of its next turn, unless it succeeds on a wisdom saving throw. And what value is that saving throw against? Okay, so my spell save DC is 8 plus my proficiency bonus, which is a 4th level character, is +2, plus my spellcasting ability modifier, which is charisma, so +4, which is a total of 14. And my spell attack modifier is for aiming, and it's just my proficiency bonus plus my charisma modifier, so +6. And I get to pick another cantrip. I think I'll go with another classic, Prestidigitation. Next, first level spells. Yeah, absolutely. Unearthly Chorus. So I could have a 30-foot radius of my theme music playing, and creatures that hear the music become friendly to me, and I get advantage on deception and persuasion checks against the creatures, as long as we're not attacking the creatures and they fail a charisma save. Nice. I think I'll add Dissonant Whispers, too. It's like Vicious Mockery, but only the target can hear it, and they take 3d6 psychic damage and run away from me, or if they succeed their wisdom saving throw, half damage, which is still pretty good. I want Comprehend Languages, too. I think that would come in handy for touring. It's pretty good for a bonus action. For second level, I already have my racial ability to use Hellish Rebuke. I'm not sure what else I want, though. Oh, I definitely want Pyrotechnics. It's from Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Can you just read me the description? So, any area of flame 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet or smaller within 60 feet of me that I can see gets extinguished, and I create either fireworks which can blind people or cover smoke. I just think it's better when multiple party members can heal in case the main healer goes down. Yeah, you can't keep all your eggs in one basket. And maybe my character did a little ringside first aid when needed. Okay, back to Bard features. Bardic Inspiration, I can use my Charisma modifier. Number of times, so that's 4 times per long rest. And I have Jack of all trades, which adds half my proficiency bonus to any ability check I make that doesn't already include the bonus. Which should cancel out my -1 intelligence modifier in any intelligence checks, right? Sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and calculate those out. +5 athletics, +3 acrobatics, +1 for stealth and sleight of hand, 0 modifier for all the intelligence checks, +1 for all the wisdom checks, +5 for deception, and +6 for intimidation, performance, and persuasion. Wait, does it apply to saving throws too? Okay, so not saving throws, just ability checks. Isn't initiative a dexterity check? So that makes my initiative my dex mod plus half my proficiency bonus, so +2. Nice. Wait, we didn't calculate my armor class yet. I have leather armor, hot, so what's the value for that? 11 plus my dexterity modifier is 12. Okay. And I get Song of Rest, so that's a little more healing, which is good. And for my Bard College, it's Swords, which gives me dueling fighting style for +2 to one-handed melee weapon damage. And Blade Flourishes, which I can use by spending my 4 uses of Bardic Inspiration. And then I get even more proficiency bonuses from Expertise, which I'll put on Performance and Persuasion, bringing those up to +12. And I think that's everything I need before the session, right? Right, I totally forgot to name them. I think Anarchy as a virtue name for their gladiator persona, and Avnus for their infernal true name. Thanks again for helping me out. I'll buy the pizza for session 0. DM's choice of toppings.